Hey you guys, do you want to come with me hunting for big game? So I've had a mixed morning today. I've lost about 3 30-minute games on the row before having had my morning coffee. So there's a lesson to be learned there. But this is an absolute beauty. I won't spoil it. We'll just dive in. It's got a wonderful trap in it. So I want you to keep your eye out for an opportunity for a winning trap. Okay. So we've got the Sicilian. I play bishop to e2, f4, e6, and now knight to f3, and d5. And I decide to push on. So black's obviously struck in the centre quite early on, obviously ready to play fairly aggressive. And I decide to go for the space rather than think about trading off pawns or even leaving the tension in the middle of the board. So now knight to h6, which I thought was a bit odd. Don't often see knights moving straight to the edge of the board, so I go ahead and castle as normal, and now the knight comes in here to f5, and I have a think now because I haven't finished development, still got a little bit to do. However, I just fancied giving this knight another kick because black is also, you know, he's already invested 2 moves into that piece, and so I thought, okay, let's play g4. My king should be all right down this side of the board, but we'll see how we get on. So I played g4 to kick the knight. Not my usual style, but I was feeling aggressive. Okay, so now the knight comes into d4. Clearly I could swap off, but that would probably just invite the other knight to capture. So much better to keep developing, keep pushing forward. So I kick the knight again. Now he captures on f3, and now I've got a decision because I've got 2 pieces that can capture, and I've actually done this twice this morning in this Grand Prix version, and recapturing with the rook, which I like. It's great to get the rooks into the game early on and steal a march on your opponent if you can. The thing about rooks is that they're hard to get into the game because they start off in the corners and they're behind all the pawns. So compared to a knight, they can just leap straight into action. You know, it takes a bit of work to get a rook into a game. So I think if you can do it earlier on, then great. And now black pushes c4. I push d4. So are we going to end up with a locked up centre, or is black going to capture en passant? Well, no, black does not capture en passant. Instead, the queen comes down. Now the queen's threatening g4. Okay, so a neat little move to shore up my defences on this side of the board is simply rook to g3. And now the bishop comes through to there. So the thing I noticed with this is that with this bishop moving to e7, it's actually blocked the queen's only escape on this diagonal, right? Because that's covered by a pawn. That's covered by a pawn now as well. So the queen did have e7 or d8 to retreat to. So when this happens, if your opponent does something like this, then you should be asking the question, okay, is there a trap on? Especially when you see the queen come out early, right? Likewise, black should be thinking, okay, I'll just put my queen there. And especially when you realize that there's the pawn right next to the queen, yeah, which means that one of the queen's directions is removed out of bounds. So I have a think now, and I figure that clearly the move you want to make is because these squares are covered already. So all I need to do, and clearly there's no direction this way, so all I need to do is to attack with the rook. Okay. Now, I can't attack with the rook now because the queen will just take it. So my first move needs to be king g2 to defend the rook and defend h3, right? And then, but then I still can't attack with the rook. Or can I? Or I might even be able to do that straight away. Yeah. So anyway, my first move is king to g2. And now on my next go, if I attack with the rook now, Queen can't capture the rook, can't take the pawn, can't go there, can't go there. So yeah, it would indeed be a trap. And now I think black misses the threat, or I'm not sure about this one. But even so, I could have just played rook to h3 straight away. For some reason I had it in my mind that I needed to push this pawn here to remove this square, but anyway. Right, so now is absolutely critical. Now all the alarm bells should be going off for black. And there may be a possibility of pawn takes, maybe pawn takes. There could be some ideas for the queen to get an escape in this, but black simply plays bishop to d7. Now I play the rook over there and the queen's gone, and that's it. Lovely little queen trap. It's always satisfying. My opponent actually lets his clock run down about 6 minutes at this point and then disappears by abandonment, so he got blocked. But yeah, always very satisfying to trap a queen like that. So what's the point of this? The point of this is that if you ever make a move like this, particularly if you're sending your queen outside of your pawn structure, and when there are sharks in the water, like this rook, and these bishops are doing a great job on these diagonals as well, you have to ask yourself the question, is there a potential trap here? And the rook moving across, that was just a general defensive move, but it did also open up opportunities for this bishop as well. But then with the king moving there, again, I think there were too many signs for black that black failed to pick up on quick enough, because there were warning signs that this trap was imminent. And there we go. So yeah, in my confused state this morning, I don't know why I figured that I needed to push that pawn, because I very clearly didn't. So I could simply have won the queen on the next turn there, and that would have been great as well. So just remember the key point. Be aware of traps. Okay, you don't get the opportunity to play a trap or to fall into a trap that often, but it should be one of those things that just goes around your mind before you make a move, or while your opponent's thinking, and particularly when you see warning signs like that, like the king stepping up. So yeah, my opponent missed it this time, but I came out all the better for it. So yeah, keep your traps in mind, guys, because you don't want this to happen to you. Alright, thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to Chess Bootcamp, please subscribe, and I'll see you soon.